10 years down the line, I would love to see students who are capable of taking their own decisions, who are able to manage a situation when it comes upon them.
Everybody is beginning to realize that skills are going to be the big thing, not memorization, not rote. What can you do? Are you able to apply your knowledge? Are you able to communicate it? So on and so forth.
And I think in 2025, something which I would really like to see is wherein schools are incorporating not only in-class activities, but more of outbound programs where there are different experiences, different opportunities for students to flourish outside class.
I really like that students be the one driving education and not the other way around. Because when you think about it, education is the driving force behind students' success or what a student goes on to become.
मुझे बड़ा होकर सैनिक बनना है और देश की रक्षा करनी है। मुझे फायर फाइटर बनना है। मुझे ब्रिज पे चढ़ना है। मुझे टीचर बनना है। मुझे बड़ा होकर पुलिस बनना है।
Say if a person wants to be a poet or a dancer or you know wants to pursue something which society nowadays says that you should not, the child should be confident enough to take that forward.
My vision for education in India would be to see a system that is flexible enough to be able to cater to the individual needs of every student, efficient enough to be affordable, and robust enough to be scalable.
We definitely need our young people to be more tolerant and more humane towards other people who are different from them, which I don't think currently in our schools we are actively fostering the sense of tolerance and sense of being able to celebrate people's differences.
So my vision for students in 2025 is to be curious, to be creative, and to be critical thinkers.
I believe a system in 2025 that provides this type of education should be equitable. That means it should allow every child this opportunity. It should be accountable. That means it should fulfill its promise to every child. And it should be efficient. That means that it is performing this service in the most optimal manner possible.
We need to move away from this overemphasis that's become the curse of our educational system. Overemphasis on marks, on competition, on cognitive skills, on achieving certain things only in a formal sense.
I mean, the most successful school systems are able to create student-centric systems, which means students lead in their own learning. And there are a number of schools that allow us to do that. Technology helps us do that.
And that's where, as a policy, the role of teacher should be changed from an instructor to an enabler of learning. From an expectation of you should clear B.Ed to an expectation of you should be innovative enough to create a learning environment.
There is a huge stereotype against teachers which exists at this point of time. There is this belief that teachers are not doing enough. So we need to challenge that and try and create platforms for teachers to actually experience and understand that they can bring change.
What the research of the past 10 years shows is that what we've been focusing on in the RTE is mostly facilities and infrastructure and hardware, but not the effectiveness of teaching and learning.
We need to be much more cognizant of the fact that there's a huge gap between intent and implementation in India. We seem to write the best laws, we seem to come up with the best entitlements, but we are not able to translate them into actual implementation on the ground.
Public-private partnerships is the way going forward. I think that's absolutely imperative. Having said that, we must be able to have clear outcomes designed. We must action the outcomes so that we are clear about what are those outcomes, and we need to be able to measure them.
The central need for better research and better data on education. So most of our education debates take place almost in a fact-free environment or in an environment of very limited data, non-representative samples. Everybody extrapolates from the few schools they have been to. And so what we don't have is large-scale systematic data that tracks outcomes over time to then understand what policies are working and not.
Children need something that works. They don't need your philosophy and point of view. So I think everybody should kind of come down a notch or two and take a slightly more objective view on the evidence, and I think that will serve the decision making a lot better.
So I think if we have this aspiration of wanting to be globally competitive, we need to really get political leadership significantly invested in making this happen. We need to work towards helping write that 2025 vision for them, getting them to buy into it, and then helping them in execute against that vision.